Hey, you. Yeah, you. Do you like music? I like music too. Let's talk about it. Grab your favorite pair of headphones and let's dig into this. So, for today's Headphone Hideaway, I want to talk about the 2015 release from Silversun Pickups, Better Nature. For those of you unfamiliar with Silversun Pickups, they are a really cool indie rock or rock and roll, whatever you want to call it. Fuck the genres. They're just a really good band. I think they're from America. I'm not too sure. I didn't research it before I started this. Maybe I should have, but we're flying by the seat of our pants today, folks. Hang on, it might be a bumpy ride. Anyways, they're a really good band. They've been putting out a lot of really good music for well over a decade. And one of the things that I love the most about this band is that they sound like this band. Over the course of their discography, they've been able to craft a sound that just doesn't sound like anything else. Sure, I can make comparisons. For example, when talking about this album, I would say this album sounds like if Mute Math and Shiny Toy Guns wrote an album together and it was produced by Danger Mouse. That's what this album sounds like to me. So if you are a fan of Mute Math or a fan of Shiny Toy Guns or a fan of more of the rock focused stuff that Danger Mouse has produced, I think you would love this album. It's a really cool blend of all of those things, and as a result, it sounds nothing like those things or like anything else, especially in the realm of modern rock music. They sound just as modern as anything else that's coming out now in the realm of rock, but without needing to lean on electronics as much as some of these other bands have to maintain that modern sound. I mean, there are elements of some drum programming and elements of some synth work in some of these songs, but they're by no means like the foundations of any of them. They use everything in a really smart and a really creative way. I think that they're phenomenal songwriters. I think there's a lot of emotion and dynamic to their songs. They incorporate so many different styles, and I just think this is like a really fucking good album. Like, if you're looking for something like that in the realm of rock music and you're not listening to this band, I cannot suggest them highly enough. Again, this album came out in 2015. I think it's a really great starting point for getting into this band, but they did put out an album last year in 2019 called Widow's Weed that is even more forward thinking in terms of, you know, taking what is going on with modern rock music and presenting it in a way that just isn't bloated with electronics or rap beats or things that are just trying to rip off like pop culture, not pop culture, but like pop music culture. And instead, you know, it's still keeping the backbone of its music on, you know, traditional live kit, guitars, bass, drums, vocals. I think it's really fucking cool the way that this band writes songs and continues to just push forward, growing as a band, keeping up with the times, and just undeniably sounding like nobody really but themselves. I think that that is fucking great. It's a really hard thing to do. Not many bands are able to do it, especially bands on this level, because they are a pretty reasonably popular band. They're just like one of those bands that you won't hear a whole lot about. They don't get a ton of push, but also they could be on tour and they'll fill a huge space. You know what I mean? Like, this is a band that plays like, you know, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 cap rooms, if not more, on the regular. They're not a small band by any means, but they're also just one of those bands that kind of flies under the radar. And I think it's a goddamn shame, because I think they're one of the best rock bands of our generation, of my lifetime, in terms of like, you know, being a band that I listened to throughout my 20s into my 30s and kind of like grew up as a real listener of music, you know, outside of my teenage nu metal shit, like, you know, appreciating the art of music. Not that, you know, Cradle of Filth isn't art, but I'm getting sidetracked. Anyways, without me just going off on any more tangents, I just want to say that if you have never listened to this band and you're still watching this because you're interested, please, please, please check them out. I think this is a fantastic release. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. I'll be back again next week with another recommendation. I hope everyone's doing well. Take care of yourselves. Take care of the people around you. And goodbye.